Education for cities in most cases is provided free by government. In Uganda, both the state and private players do provide education services. It's the policy of government that every school age-going person is in school starting 6 years. It's provided under the Universal Primary and Secondary Education, which started in 1997, and Universal Secondary Education. Besides, there was a policy on equal opportunities. Formerly, education for the disabled was little or unknown until the policy on disability was put in place in 2006. Unfortunately, this has fallen short with the coming of the mysterious disease that hit Uganda in the early 2000s, the nodding disease. The nodding disease has affected school-age-going children. Children suffering from nodding syndrome often lose their ability to interact normally, lose their attention span, and cannot feed themselves.
We were in this place school, so I started to notice this kind of disease from one of the boy called Kasirye Gerald, who unfortunately passed away in 2010. Then another girl was called Lawina Susan. She is alive, but she has dropped out of school. Behaves in a different way. Others could make them fall down, others could react to water, others could make them fall in fire.
It's school time. Every pupil is already at school, ready for classes. This is primary 4 at Arune Primary School, Kitgum District. As lessons begin, 4 of the pupils are not in class. He has divided the classroom into 2 categories to accommodate both slow and quick learners.
So when I compare their level of catching up with the lesson or level of understanding and compare with other normal children, their level is very low.
He has mastered the nature of pupils in his classroom.
So I make them to repeat many times as possible, so that those who are slow, they also catch up with others.
Under ideal conditions, such children need special attention, but facilities are not available at Arune Primary School. Arune Primary School in Akwang sub-county has children suffering from nodding disease syndrome. The children have their own time of arrival at school, although school starts at 7:30 a.m. The current enrollment is 203, with 23 pupils affected. The nodding disease syndrome cases were first identified in northern Uganda towards the end of the 20-year Lord's resistance movement insurgency by rebel leader Joseph Kony. It seemed specific or restricted to certain areas along the borders of Padel, Lamuo, and Kitgum districts around River Aswa. By 2006, the rebellion had subsided, and a new disturbance emerged, an illness, mysterious in nature, not known to the natives or even to the Ministry of Health. The illness affected mostly children of between 5 to 15 years. Statistics put the number to 3,500 in Kitgum district alone.
The nodding syndrome is one of the conditions which is incapacitating quite a number of our children who should have gone to school. This is a disease condition that affects the brain of the young ones, especially beginning from 5 years to about 20, like that. Sometimes they trigger seizures. The children go into a kind of a jerking condition. Some of them also collapses when the seizure begins.
Researchers have been examining several possible causes for nodding syndrome, a name given because children infected often nod their heads when food is put in front of them.
We had in 1, 2, 3, and then the whole 3 sub-counties started experiencing this case. So these children cannot go to school. As I told you, they have very poor memory. They don't grow well. Their growth are retarded. Now, when they go to school, they cannot compete, or they cannot pick up the learning pattern together with the normal kids.
The children have a real cognitive decline. The once healthy, growing children, as young as 5 or 6 years old, once affected, waste away they are malnourished, and they drop out of school. The lessons in class takes long. The school has no facilities to deal with children affected with nodding disease.
We are just trained to handle children, but not to handle special children. You know, there's those institutions which always train those teachers to handle special. We call it special education. So if at all the government could do that, make sure that they bring special teachers, at least even if not two, only two, I think it will be okay, because at least they have some knowledge beyond ours.
Although Kitgum district has a special needs department, it has never recruited a special needs officer.
We don't have somebody trained to be helping. Sometimes we don't give adequate information to that person and adequate support because of communication gap. So there is a need to train somebody, at least in community development sector. If we could train the CDOs of the sub-counties, and then also somebody in the Department of Community-Based Services, so that these people from time to time can attend to their people.
It has been so difficult to figure out what's causing the illness and what should be done about it.
At the moment, many of them are at home because of lack of concentration, because of fear of being abused by their fellow children, because of seizures when it begins in the classroom, they collapse and the children, their fellow children laugh at them. So they decide now to isolate themselves and stay at home. Some teachers fear because they've never seen those kind of disease condition. A few of them who has very few attacks of seizures and their memory is not too blank, they force themselves to come to school and then stay with their fellow children.
It seems that children affected by nodding disease syndrome are not suited for formal education, but even then, there is no hope for vocational training.
I think this is worthwhile. It is worthwhile. If that center where Hope for Human is started in Tumangu could be broadened up, then these children who have passed the age of the formal education, that is from primary 1 to P7, something like that, or even primary 1 to senior secondary school, if they can't, then they can be brought there for those kind of training so that they have something to do in future for themselves.
The policy on universal primary education and for special needs education provides for government full participation in providing education for persons with special needs. Kitgum district has no such manpower.
For the meantime, we have not yet recruited, but in the next financial year, we want to put it in our plan and ensure that we employ education officer in charge of special needs so that children with special needs, especially in school, are taken care of.
In the communities, the children live with their families. There is no disturbance they cause, but the family's expectations are for a functional child. This is Tumango village, Lamid Parish, where a 40-year-old widow, Santo Alok, lives with 6 orphans of whom 2 are affected with the nodding disease syndrome.
It's not been easy managing the children. They need full-time attention. It is really hard.
The 2 children, Monica Alo and Alfred Ado, can't talk. Monica can only fetch water with the help of her mother. Monica, who is now 19 years, was affected in 2003 when she was 13 years in primary 3.
When I realized the drop in their performance, I stopped them from going to school.
These children's lives seem devastated, but not completely destroyed, although no one knows about their future.
This is not like an ordinary, maybe blind child, not like a lame child. Their condition is a little bit broader than these other ones I've given you. So it's better to have their own kind of school, their own kind of teachers who train them, because we cannot leave them out just because they have what? Nodding syndrome.
And also we teachers. I wish we could be motivated because we are handling special people. That means we are doing extra work.
Gerald Kasirye, UBC News.